Hey, Happy New Year's, guys. Saying Happy New Year's right now seems so weird to me. Seems like it's been a long time since that New Year's has come along. Could have been the ice storm and kids at home for what seems like weeks, but who knows. But it is the end of the month, so I wanted to give you your monthly update on the housing market and what things look like going into spring this year. For those of you that don't know me yet, my name is Joe Skipper, and I'm the owner of Skipper Realty Group, brokered by eXp Realty out of Oregon. And today we're going to go into some of the stats and trends on the local housing market here. And I'm having my friend and lender Paul Robinson back on to talk about some mortgage topics and some tips on that side of the home sales process. Now, he is a mortgage broker and owner of Greater Oregon Mortgage Company, and he has helped lots of my family and friends get into homes that they wanted even when it didn't look like it was going to be possible. Now, he's going to go over all sorts of tips, tricks, and advice for those of you looking to buy in this market. So stay tuned to hear what he has to say as well. And if you haven't already, if you could do me a huge favor and hit that like button, I would truly appreciate it. Also, if you want to stay up to date with the latest on the housing market here in Oregon so that you can make the best financial decisions for you and your family, then you should consider subscribing to my page. I put out content regularly so that you can be more successful, not only as a buyer and a seller on a personal level, but also as an investor as well. Now, on to the home stats for this month. But the home prices decreased this month. The median sold price for Wilsonville in December was $627,125. This decreased pretty significantly by 14% since last month and was the same decrease of 14% from last year. The month-to-month trend isn't as significant as the year-over-year change, but the year-over-year drop is a bit more of a concern. Now, relatively, you are still seeing growth in your home's value, and the drop in value may be due to the fact that the homes were priced and valued so high these previous years that things are starting to settle. But it's something to keep an eye on as we go into spring. The prediction is that inventory will rise, and as rates go down, buyers will come back into the housing market. Now, this theoretically will drive prices back up, but that remains to be seen. The election year will have an impact, good or bad, depending on how things go there. Now, I'll keep you up to date as we get towards spring. But if you haven't already noticed by this stat and how things fluctuate in the housing market, it's so important to have a team of experts to guide you when you're buying or selling a home. It's not as simple as putting a sign in your front yard and praying that the right person comes along and gives you the best price. This industry is changing rapidly, and having someone that knows that and is adapting to that is critical. The inventory for Wilsonville in December dropped to 10 single-family homes. Now, next year, they're predicting that as the rates drop and as the rates edge closer to what sellers currently are at in their rates, you will start to see inventory increasing as they make the jump from their home to their next one. But there is still buyer demand out there, and that's a good thing for sellers. But pricing it wrong isn't going to help you as the inventory increases. You want to be smart about that and don't overthink that your home is the best and everyone wants it because demand is so high. Pricing it right from the beginning is going to get you the best deal possible quicker. Now, the median days on market jumped up a ton to 65 days from 23 last year. Now, don't freak out though, 65 days is still more or less normal as a time on market depending on where you live. Now, we're starting to see this trend more and more depending on where you live and where you're selling. Now, historically, this time on market is normal, so it's more about getting used to it versus this being indicative of something in your future. You just need to trust your team to market your home and list it for the right price at the right time. So that's what I have for you, but I'm going to pass it along to Paul for his mortgage information. So take it away, Paul.
Hey, Joe, thank you. This is Paul Robinson. I'm a loan officer and owner of Greater Oregon Mortgage Company, a mortgage brokerage that's licensed to lend in the state of Oregon and the state of Washington. I was listening, I wanted to talk about rent versus own. I was listening to a guy give advice on home ownership, and his stance was that he was pro being a renter. He said he didn't like the idea of being obligated to a mortgage. He didn't like the idea of being responsible for repairs on a home. He felt that being a renter was easier, and he felt that it was more economically feasible to rent versus own. My perspective on what he said is that at the surface level, what he said seemed logical, but when you go a little bit deeper, there's some important pieces that they're really being missed. When I think of a monthly mortgage payment, what I see is a savings account that's being added to each month. A monthly mortgage payment is considered a principal and interest payment. The principal part of that payment is what goes to paying down the balance of a loan, and that happens every month. So it's this forced savings that occurs on every month that a mortgage payment is made. And then, of course, every dollar that the balance is paid down, that's equity in the home. That is a tangible asset. I run some numbers so we can see how the monthly payment creates savings and how a moderate amount of home appreciation, I just use 3%, how a moderate amount of home appreciation increases the value of the home, and how those two items, payment and appreciation, create equity, or if you will, savings to a home buyer. We'll only look at the first 3 years, which is interesting because on numbers on about mortgage, a lot of people have said, man, I don't make any headway the first several years of a loan. So I'm taking the first 3, which are historically are what people would say are the worst years, and we'll see what those numbers look like. Again, only the first 3 years. The scenario that I put together is that the home value is $725. The buyer had 5% down. The rate, 30-year fixed at 6.25. And the monthly mortgage payment was $4,240, $4,240. At the end of the first year, the principal balance of the loan was paid down $8,070. The home appreciated $21,750. The total gains for those two at the end of the first year, $29,820. And it's an interesting number. The monthly payment of $4,240, that $29,820, that is 7 months of principal and interest payments. Now let's go to year 2. Year 2, the principal balance was paid down $16,660. The home appreciated, again, only using 3% appreciation. The home appreciated at the end of the second year, $44,152. So the total gain for the homeowner at the end of the second year, at the end of 24 months, $60,812. That equates to 14.34 months of principal and interest payment. So the buyer has made 24 payments, but 14.34 of those principal and interest payments have been converted to equity. I just find that interesting. Okay, now last one. At the end of 3 years. At the end of 3 years, the principal balance has been paid down $25,802. The home is appreciated $67,227. So the total gains by the homeowner at the end of the third year, or the end of 36 months of payments, $93,029. And that equates to 22 months of principal and interest payments. So at the end of the third year, the home buyer has made 36 payments of $4,240. But 22 of those payments have been converted to equity. I just find that really fascinating. So anyway, I hope the perspective was helpful. I hope the numbers were interesting. It was interesting for me to run, that's for sure. Any questions about this, feel free to reach out to me, or anything, any questions about mortgages, here to help. The best way to reach me is my email, paul@gomcloans.com. All right, thanks.
So those are the stats for this January. If you guys are looking to buy or sell in the next year, give me a call and let's talk about what it takes to get you the highest return on your investment when you decide to go that route. The market is changing rapidly, so having an expert team to guide you through it is going to be one of the best choices that you're going to make. Now, if you want a free buyer's or seller's guide sent directly to you, leave me a comment that you want one and I'll send it right over. It has all sorts of information on not only what it's like to go through the buying and selling process, but what it's like to do that with me. Also, don't forget to subscribe and like this page so that you can stay up to date on the latest on the Oregon housing market. Thanks, guys.